But to the viewer from Toronto who says, what's the most intense game you've ever been involved in? Viewers obviously watching on the Game Plus TV network.
Yeah.
Listen, man, I don't think you, or ma'am, I've needed police escorts out of facilities. I've needed police escorts out of cities. So you're going to need to define intense. I assume you mean on the playing field. I've been threatened in many facilities across this country, all because of my own actions. But was there a game more intense for you than the 2007 Grey Cup?
I think the Grey Cups in general, like I say 09 and 10 were big time Grey Cups too for me as far as intensity. But if you get away from the Grey Cups, I would say that rematch against Montreal,
Canada Day comeback.
Yeah, that 50, what was it, 51, 54, or 50, whatever. With 50 something to 50, that was just back and forth.
Triple overtime, wasn't it?
Yeah, we were down 3. We had another 13-man penalty that almost ruined the game for Saskatchewan again. Had great catches left and right. Everybody was, it was just, if you weren't a CFL fan and you watched that game, you would have been a CFL fan after that. That was the best, probably the best CFL game I've ever seen, been a part of. And it was intense. After we closed the gap before half, that second half was the most intense thing ever.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
And we were on the road with the Rough Riders. Joe Womack was our strength coach, and he was rooming with Ron Estee. I'm coming down the elevator with Joe Womack, and he is so mad. And I'm like, what's wrong, Joe? And he goes, you wouldn't believe what Estee did. He's in his underwear, and he emptied the minibar. Smarties and the Kit Kats, thinking it's free, thinking it was a gift basket. And Joe looks at me, it ain't fun.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy. Yes, it is. Thank you, Rick Regan. Welcome, everybody, inside your favorite daytime sports talk show. It's Canada's sports talk show here on Game Plus Television, but also we allow in our U.S. friends. We welcome them if you like what we're talking about here. We're on WQEE radio as well in Atlanta, and then, of course, streaming. Listen, you're in for a real treat because right now it's just me. You're going to get a real variety act today. Because the CFL on TSN's Paul LaPolice, an original New Hampshire product, was lined up to join us here in the opening segment. And to inform Clark just before the show, he's not available at the moment. He'll let us know when he is. And then later on, John Bender, the guy who was offensive lineman and blocked for both Colin Kaepernick and Cody Fajardo. John Bender is going to be with us in hour one. Calgary Stampeders alum, and Kevin Karius from Sports 1440 Edmonton. So we've got a lot of viewers and audience in Edmonton. Kevin Karius will be joining us from there. Those are the guests. Can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please, Director Jordan? What this all means is it's just more of you if I get time to dip into the viewer comments. We'll start viewer takeover early, but for now, I can handle it. I got it here on Game Plus Television. Thanks, Lapo. Number one, they're going to fool you. We normally do the big story. And, you know, I'm going to change this around because I knew that I was going to have Lapo with me. I thought we'd start with football, but he's not here. So the real big story is this. Vanessa Gilles scored 12 minutes into stoppage time, and the Canadian women's soccer team staged an epic 2-1 comeback victory over host France at the Paris Olympics on Sunday. Canada needed to win after FIFA docked the team 6 points, the equivalent of 2 wins over the drone scandal. The Canadians have won both, though, of their preliminary games and will need to beat Colombia Wednesday to have a shot at advancing to the knockout round. So, look, I'm not watching it, but I'm following it. There's a difference. So that's like the big story and just the Olympics overall. But you all came here today to talk about football. I get that. So did I. So we'll just flip this all around. Point 2, The New York Giants are releasing Canadian quarterback Nathan Rourke. Giants head coach Brian Daboll announced the move Sunday. He was born in Welland, Ontario, don't you know? New York claimed Rourke off waivers May 7th, but he didn't see much action during the first week of Giants training camp. He finished last season with New England. He's from Victoria and Oakville. They both lay claim to him. He was inactive for 2 games before dressing as a backup in the Patriots' regular season finale versus the New York Jets on January 7th. Rourke originally signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars following 2 seasons with the CFL's BC Lions. 2 standout seasons, I might say. So just put it in park, and we'll just talk about this for a while. And when we get a minute, I'll dip into the comments and get yours. I see our guy David in Winnipeg. David, number 1, wrote in and said, "Good morning, Rod and Moose. Moose, he ain't here. Moose ain't here. And he won't be here all week. Maybe Friday, but probably not. He's taken some much-deserved vacay time." So more than anything, I lit a couple stink bombs today on social media just to see what the reaction would be. And in the case of Nathan Rourke, I put it on our Facebook page. Again, if you just can't get enough of this show for the 2 hours that we're live every day on Game Plus and Key Radio, you can always keep the debate going on our Facebook page and our social media. Look it up at The Rod Pedersen Show. And I said, what do you think he will do? And it's an interesting, is he going to, I talked to an NFL agent on Sunday. I said, what are the waiver rules now? Because everything's changing and I need to stay up. I need to keep my certification up. As a guy talking about these professional leagues. And he goes, well, when you're cut in training camp like Nathan Rourke was, it's a 24-hour waiver period. Because it used to be, if you were cut coming out of training camp in the National Football League, because trust me, I think a lot of you CFL fans know this, you were waiting 10 days. 10 days you were waiting for that waiver period. But for whatever reason, because I'm not an agent, nor a GM or a scout, I wanted to know what it was, and he said 24 hours. So as of sometime today, Nathan Rourke will be eligible to sign anywhere he pleases, but he's got to be offered a contract first. So it's anywhere else in the NFL or anywhere in the CFL. So I'm sure the CFL general managers are jumping all over each other, trying to be the first in line to offer him a contract. It's not like, that's the other thing that I wasn't certain about. If you're drafted by a CFL team, but you go to the NFL, you remain that CFL team's property until the end of time. So when you eventually leave the NFL, they jump on you. That's not the case with Nathan Rourke. His contract expired with the BC Lions. He became a free agent, free with anybody, and that's what's happened again here. So for those to say what he should do, everybody wants him. I've really enjoyed the takes from the CFL fans on this. They're like, Rider fans are saying, hey, Shea Pedersen has been good in replacement of the injured Trevor Harris, but better's better. After the debacle that went up on in Edmonton yesterday, which is my next point, I saw our friend Jason Greger of Sports Team 1440 saying, scrap everything and sign Nathan Rourke. Give him what he wants. And one very reasoned fan I saw on social media today, it was a female Rider fan. She says, and I can't remember which one it was. She said, the winner here is Nathan Rourke. He's a winner either way. He's either going to stay in the NFL and get his $500,000 or close to that on the practice roster, or come back to the CFL and get the equivalent. Do we have Lapo? Okay. Lapo, thanks for joining us. We have not got to the debacle in Edmonton last night. You're joining us just in time. CFL and TSN's Paul LaPolice with us. You may have seen we're talking about Nathan Rourke here. And I'm not going to ask what you think he should do, although you can dabble in that if you want. What do you think he will do, as he's now free to sign anywhere as of today, I'm told?
I think he had a couple roster opportunities last year. So, I'm sure as a young player, it's not like he has, I know he's newly married. He doesn't have kids. I think he's in a good place where he can hold out. He doesn't have to go, all right, I'm just going to come back for money. I think the opportunity and the ability for him to keep holding off for an opportunity is most important. And the weird part of all this is you never get the opportunity till there's injuries. So you never know how that's going to play out. So I think he's probably going to stay available the rest of the season and try to see what's out there, because he can always sign next season if he just doesn't get a good feel from now until December, January. So I think he stays out and just keeps his irons in the fire for the NFL. And that's the thing. The hard part, I think sometimes we all know how good these players are. But I don't know if the New York Giants sometimes say, well, how do they not play this guy? Well, I think what people have to understand, the organization New York Giants probably reached out, and they basically, in college, they had 5 people evaluate Nathan Rourke, and they have a decision on what they think. That I think just because he went up to the CFL and had a great year, I don't know if that changes too much on what they think, right or wrong. But I just kind of think they have the guys they like, and they said, we've evaluated this guy already. We don't know if he's our fit. I wish they would maybe take more of what happens in the CFL, because you see a lot of guys go down and are very successful, but it's just sometimes not how they're wired.
Interesting you say that, and 2, 3, 4 heads are better than one. I believe that to be true. I never looked at it from that angle. I was expecting, and I think that the fans are, that he would sign somewhere at any point. And that could still happen, as you say, but maybe he's just going to wait for the best opportunity because he can. I see it in the NHL all the time now, Paul, and this is how the game's changed because the money's become so good. Players aren't signing somewhere because they need the money. Nathan Rourke don't need the money. There's NHL players now that are holding out as free agents until, like, into the second half of the season, signing the best opportunity for them. You're not signing somewhere coming out of training. It's kind of the same thing, right?
Yeah, and the other thing is the practice squad money for the NFL is really good too now. So, if he gets back on a practice squad, he's going to be okay. It's certainly not what he's going to make as one of the, the highest paid players in the CFL, but, he's got time to figure that out and exhaust the opportunities of playing in the United States. And as a guy who played in Division I football, what's funny is the pull of that is huge for a guy who played Division I football. All his teammates and friends that you're like, hey, I know you're doing great in the CFL, but when are you going to the NFL? Like when I started coaching the CFL, people would always say, hey, do you want to coach in the NFL? And I'm like, yeah, I'm happy where I'm at right now. And here's the point. I almost tweeted this player or person. Somebody did an article about Nathan Rourke, and it was somebody in the U.S., and he said that now that he's in the pros, he needs to do this or this. And I wanted to write him back and go, no, he was in the pros. The CFL is professional football. So let's not forget that. And that was something like when I first came into the league, like Jeff Fairholm, let's talk about a former, a great player and Rough Rider. Like he used to correct me all the time when I said that. He goes, hey, buddy, CFL is the pros. And that's what I think sometimes people forget.
Good old Fairway, my favorite Rough Rider ever. Now, we can come back on this, but point 3, you showed up just in time, Lapo. Bo Levi Mitchell threw for 316 yards and 5 touchdowns as the visiting Hamilton Tiger Cats blitzed the winless Edmonton Elks 44-28 on Sunday. Ticats, who started the CFL season 0-5, have now won 2 straight. The Elks slipped 0-7. Edmonton backup quarterback Trey Ford threw for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns in less than a quarter of relief. Cue the controversy in Edmonton. I'm saying it's garbage time. You all know that. Although we still will probably start this week at Edmonton. What was your take on the way that game ended last night and where the Elks go from here, please?
Let's start with Bo Levi Mitchell, though. Like, if they continue to win football games, all of a sudden he comes right into the Player of the Year conversation. Like he's done a lot of excellent things, and the defense the last couple of weeks has gotten better. They were facing one of the worst defenses in the CFL, but that doesn't matter. You play who you play, and he threw 5 touchdowns, had a great completion percentage. So, like his play, and I love that it's not just about Bo. There's also a run game there. There's 98 yards rushing, I think, for Butler last night. So, I think they can build and continue to get better and better and better each week. You can call it garbage time because beat down yards people talk about. Our friend Dunnigan says that all the time. But the weird part of it, like, I get it's beat down time, but like you just don't see plays that, like, the 3 of the plays Trey made, doesn't matter whether it was beat down time or the starters, right? And he was going against Casey Sales and they were going against some of their starters. So not Casey Sales, but they're going against some of their starters. So you have to respect what Trey did at that point. I really think that, like there's got to be a way to get him more playing. And, whatever's going with Mac, Mac can complete passes, he can do things, but he just hasn't created the explosives that Trey can. The weird thing, here's a weird stat about Trey. Last year, as a deep ball passer, Edmonton was one of the best deep ball passes in the CFL. Why? Because Trey escapes, and then the coverage breaks down, and people become wide open, and he can just spot the ball. Where the difference with Bo Levi, McLeod Bethel Thompson is McLeod, they have to get the people open. They have to move the people out of the zones. He has to locate the ball accurately. All those things have to be perfect, and the protection has to hold up. So there's just a difference in style of the two guys. So, I've said early in the year, I like the signing of McLeod, but we are so many games in with losses and losses and losses. So where do you go? Do you give Trey more time, or do you make Trey the starter? Because he has been. That was pretty productive. Or at least just give him a game and see where he is. And there's no reason you can't go back to the other guy because, they're just not winning. And you can't really tell McLeod, we're just not winning. So, we're going to try something else. I think that has to.
Plus, McLeod.
There has to be
Macbeth's. Yeah, I mean, I'm no quarterback guru, but I'm watching. I got eyes. And Macbeth's throwing passes into the dirt over guys' heads. He doesn't even look into it. He doesn't look like he's got it. Whatever's going on there, I don't know. Let's just play this. I'm only going to keep you 2 more minutes, Lapo. If you're coaching Edmonton and you are going into Sask Saturday night, who are you starting at quarterback?
I always say this. It's very hard for me when I'm not in every meeting and everything to make that determination, right? But I do think, I would think that Trey Ford is a part of your package. Whether he's starting, there could be a lot of big reasons to start him because of a really good team that can stop the run. Why not put him in a position to be able to, you're not going to be able to run the ball against the Riders. So, put Trey Ford in, let him run around and let him be the impact player because, the Riders are the best against the run in the CFL. So you're going to have to throw the ball. Now, McLeod is a great thrower. So how do there's a trade-off on both of those, right? And the hard part is it's one half of a game, but weeks ago, everyone, if you remember, McLeod Bethel Thompson against Toronto a couple of weeks ago looked like the best quarterback in the CFL. So I'll say this, it's a difficult decision. Some people say, it's a no-brainer, just play Trey, but I think I'm happy I'm not making that decision, right? But I do think Trey Ford, I think he has to get more playing time. However that plays out, if not, at least give him a game and see what he can do because they are just sitting with loss after loss after loss.
At this point, what do you got to lose? All right, Lapo, clearly you're a busy guy. Thanks for finding some time for us. Have a great week. We'll be watching for you this weekend.
All right. Yeah, I'll see you. I'll be in studio on the weekend. I'm doing color in Calgary on Sunday, my first color of the year. So I'm excited.
Outstanding. We'll be watching. Thanks, Lapo. CFL on TSN's Paul LaPolice. We'll be right back. Get into all of this and more. Plus, John Bender and Kevin Karius coming up. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HG.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hi, everybody. Well, it's just working out perfectly, and I'm going to tell you how in a minute. But first, we're brought to you in part by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Now is the time that you need to be working on your shooting abilities. Stop in at OT Hockey Lanes, 28th Street Northeast in Calgary, and book your lane today where skill and fun collide. It's working out perfectly because we had Lapo dip in to give the pro football perspective on the things that are going on. Then he dipped out because it's clearly a yard sale at Lapo's house. So now it's just you and me. It's fantastic and reminds me of how when this show began 6 years ago, this is now episode number 1,305. This was before COVID we started this show. So we used to always have people, Mark remembers, on their phones or on their laptop in their home with all kinds of crazy stuff going on. And then that became commonplace in the world in COVID times. And now here we're still doing it. Listen, you original P1s, the priority ones, do you remember saying, I love this show because you see people in their natural home environment? We haven't changed. Just the world has, but we were ahead of everybody. So I will get back into the comments in a second. The sports topics. The comments are far more delicious. Darcy in Grand Prairie, Alberta, writes in, he says, what in the blue hell was that opening ceremony supposed to be? We'll get to that. I know you're going to want to talk about the Olympics, of course. Kirk in Tirana writes in, and he says, with a season-high crowd in a game with the Argonauts, did not deserve to win. They got away with one on a night their quarterbacks were truly horrible. Chad Kelly's return just 2 games away. So, yeah, this is where the CFL fans come to talk for sure. But listen, I watched that game. Winnipeg's kicker misses in overtime. Toronto's makes. Argos win the game 16-14. I look at it kind of between where the fans are and where the coaches are, like Lapo. I'm in between. Always have been. That's where I live. And it's like, don't tell me we didn't deserve to win because we won. Back off. Winning is really hard to do. Don't dismiss the prior 60 minutes of regulation time before overtime when they screwed up and lost. That's all I would say on that. And I was sitting at the lake watching, well, first of all, Greece-Canada basketball. Canada won with some basketball guys. And then we had a barbecue. It was so great. I love having weekends off. And I'm like, guys, would you mind flipping it over to the CFL game? Because, again, they're basketball guys. But they really enjoyed watching the CFL game with me. It was my buddy and his 2 boys. And their takeaway from the game was how awesome the Argos uniforms were. I'm like, right? I'm like, they call that Cambridge Blue, guys. Cambridge Blue. We all loved it. To the comments. Because we're about entertainment here, right? That's what we're about. We ain't Sports Center. Tony from George Fox Country writes in. He says, Olympic opening ceremony was awesome, innovative with the boats on the river, and inspiring. But I know that I'm an old redneck, but do the children of the world need to see an Olympic-sized pride parade and drag fashion show? Gag me with a fork.
How about
Patrolman
that?
Pete in Winnipeg. Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg says, I thought the Olympic opening ceremony was good. It was very Paris. I enjoyed watching TV, but I saw online that people who paid 1,000 to 3,000 euros a ticket to watch boats go by weren't thrilled. Well, you knew that was what it was going to be. So didn't you know that? What were you expecting? Morning, guys. Boost John Miller is reporting for duty. Second of 2 days off today for the baseball club for which I broadcast. Where was I? For a moment. The gentleman, Tony and Cochran, and he's left, by the way. He said he couldn't stick around and watch the rest of the show. But do the children of the world need to? That's why I put this in my 10 Things column on the weekend where I quoted my daughter when she was about 7 or 8. I know exactly where I was, Clark. You'd understand this as a dad. Taxi.
Bingo!
Was just going south on Wascana Parkway. Wascana Lake was to my right. The big side where they race the boats. And, Dad, can 2 men marry each other? Oh, boy. Here we go. Here's the thing, Tony. There are gay people in the world. So why are we hiding it? So I'd have a problem with any of it. But I went home because the Olympic ceremonies were, all afternoon from what we could see. And I just watched part of it to say that I watched it. I don't know what part did they have this Last Supper parody with the drag queens at the end, but I was alerted to it by my good friend Theron Fleury, who said on Facebook, what does this have to do with athletics? Now, it's not really about that. It's the Olympics, and the whole idea is opening ceremonies and entertainment. And if you just want to get right down to it, what does having a guy play the guitar at halftime of the Grey Cup or Super Bowl have to do with football? It's the entertainment factor, so I didn't have a problem with it. Now I see the Christians, of which I'm one, but they're like, you're mocking God. To be honest, I was shocked that the Paris Games Organizing Committee apologized for it. What they apologized for was offending anyone. I don't think they really care, but they just issued an apology. So my thing was, there are gay people out there. Breaking news! John Ohm says, which CFL team will break the piggy bank to sign Rourke? See, that's the thing. I don't know who Nathan Rourke's agent is, but I did talk to an NFL agent on Sunday just to get clarification on this. And he said, within 24 hours, Nathan Rourke was going to be eligible to sign anywhere that offers him a contract, anywhere in the world. Why it's called free agent. And Lapo came in and just said, if you didn't see it last segment, don't expect anything soon. He's probably going to wait. Because I don't know how it works with pension and so forth, but he's been in the NFL long enough now and got enough preseason reps on film. Teams know who he is. It's like the most thorough department of any sports team, any pro sports team, is their personnel and scouting department. They know who he is. They know what he can do. He doesn't need to prove himself anymore. And as far as anybody knows in football or that's watching this, if he was the fourth-string quarterback behind Daniel Jones, Drew Lock, and Tommy DeVito, he wasn't going to get any reps anyway in New York. Kind of surprised he signed there. So Lapo's thing, not to throw water on it, John, but to throw water on it is that don't expect him to sign anywhere anytime soon. Wah, wah, wah. That's unfortunate, but it's the way that it is. Every time he plays that, I think of the spin the wheel. You know the one. What's the show, Clark? Not Let's Make a Deal. Or is it Let's Make a Deal? Bob Barker? Price is Right. Thank you. Wasn't really ironically, I wasn't really a daytime daytime TV show guy, and now I'm hosting a show on it. Crazy. BW writes in, says, hello from sunny Crosby, North Dakota, where it's going to be 31 degrees Celsius today. Just signed Nathan to a 6-year deal in Edmonton, Elkabos. Scott in Vancouver writes in, he says, since Alex Morello is out, Utah should be able to use the Coyotes brand. He says, Nathan Rourke to the Atlantic Schooners. Oh, what happens first? Arizona gets an NHL team again, or Atlantic Canada gets a CFL team? I love this shirt. I get it everywhere I go. This was team issued from the Coyotes when my buddy owned the team. Good stuff. You wouldn't believe the stuff I got in the pickle trunk. Well, here's another one. Scott in Vancouver says, it's good money to hold a clipboard in the NFL. He's not even holding a clipboard. Practice roster guy getting $500,000. The game's changed. As Lapo said, these guys 20 years ago, the Ricky Rays, the Dave Dickinsons, made that conscious decision. They didn't want to stay in the NFL and not play for chump change when they could come to the CFL and in some cases make $500,000 and play. That's a no-brainer. Now, I can sit in the States, make $500,000 and not even have to play. That also a no-brainer. And I've seen all the pundits. Listen, all I'm doing, you noticed I haven't really offered my opinion at all. Sitting back watching what everybody's saying. I saw one pundit, that's what he is, saying Nathan Rourke's going to regret this when he's older. How the hell would you know? Pipe down. You're looking at your bank account, I think you'll be just fine. I reason it to this. Hosting the Cats and Bolts podcast, living in South Florida, covering the Panthers and the Lightning, to me, is a way better life than knocking around on buses broadcasting hockey in Canada in the juniors. I did that for 20 years. And while it was okay at the time, I'd rather be up in the show doing that show because nobody ever rung my phone to talk about the Regina Pats or the Prince Albert Raiders. Like, never. But now I'm doing 2-3 interviews a week in the States to talk about the Panthers and Lightning and some in Canada. It's a better lifestyle for me. Now, I'm not a 20-something-year-old kid like Nathan Rourke, but lifestyle's lifestyle. And the CFL, yeah, he can come up and make money, but it ain't the NFL. I also, last Thursday, I went to that CFL Fans Fight Cancer fundraiser, watched the Rider game. Who was there? Andrew Green. My buddy Andrew Green. What did we talk about? His 3 years with the Dolphins. 3 years he played with the Miami Dolphins. This was Drew. think of the shades. He's like, now, I don't go to the clubs in South Florida like Drew did, but he's like, oh, the women down there.
How about that?
I wouldn't know, Drew, but I can just imagine. It ain't anywhere the same. What else we got here? Jeremy in Winnipeg. For Rourke, playing in the Mid-American Conference doesn't help. He never played with the big dogs. Makes it harder to make it. Sucks, but it's true. I guess that's true. I know what you're saying. The MAC Conference isn't the Blue Bloods. Actually, John Bender will probably have a take on this when he joins us next. But, I mean, I look at J.J. McCarthy with the Vikings, and I'd like... Who's getting first-team reps in Minnesota? Does anybody know with the Vikings? Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy? Because he's coming out of Michigan. He won a natty with the Wolverines, and he's not all that. So that gives you a step up. But I don't think that it's the be-all and the end-all. Robert in Las Vegas says, I'm with Lapo. I don't see Nathan Rourke returning to the CFL until 2025 at the earliest. There will be some injuries at the QB position going forward in camps and preseason. So those are the topics today. You knew the opening ceremonies of the Olympics would come up, and a lot of football because it's summer in Canada. We'll be right back with John Bender in Calgary after this. He played at Reno. We're live on Game Plus TV, Key Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Now the race is on and here comes pride in the backstretch. Celebrate 40 years of Sawyer Brown. Some girls don't like boys like me. With Shenandoah. You got to get me to the church on the Cumberland Road. Plus special guest George Fox. Saturday, October 26th, Moose Jaw Event Center. I'll take the dirt road. Tickets are on sale now at the Moose Jaw Event Center box office or online at sasktix.ca. 6 days on the road and I'm Sawyer Brown and Shenandoah live.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Everybody, make your birthday unforgettable here at Golden Ticket Sports Center in Moose Jaw. Book your birthday party with us for a fun-filled celebration packed with sports, games, and endless excitement. Visit GoldenTicketSportsCenter.com. John Bender played with the Nevada Wolfpack and in the CFL with the Calgary Stampeders. Hey, John, he fashions, I would say, himself as a football pundit now. Can I say Fan 960 Calgary, Johnny? We're going to get to those stamps in a second. But our topics of the day are Nathan Rourke and Trey Ford, quarterbacks. As you know, what do you think about Nathan Rourke? Where do you think he should go next after being released by the New York Giants on Sunday?
Well, I mean, he's going to have to go through waivers here right away. The waiver process is going to take a little time. I believe it's 4 p.m. Eastern today. He finds out if he cleared waivers or not. And from there, I would imagine that his next step would be to just take some time for him and his family and decide kind of what they want to do. So I think the biggest step for them would be trying to find the right fit. I mean, in the NFL, I mean, it's all a matter of, guys are in camp now. They probably have their roster set. He's looking for poor player injury to create a spot. And if there's multiple quarterbacks that have injuries or things like that with one team or one franchise, that might be an opportunity for him to get in there. I would try to find the spot for him that's going to be the best place where he can play and get on the field or get into that 2 deep or 3 deep. He's been having a hard time doing that lately, it seems, and we'll have to see where it goes from here.
Basically, you're saying exhaust all NFL options and then see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to get another shot. So he's got to exhaust all his NFL options at this point. He could sign in the CFL, have another great season or another great 2 seasons, but he might end up, being labeled a CFL quarterback moving forward. So if he has this opportunity where people think he has an opportunity to play in the NFL, why not exhaust all options? Get to the 2-3 years of practice roster that he's allowed to use and, see if he can get into that roster, because the opportunity for him to make north of $1 million and compete at the highest level is only going to be in the NFL. He's going to have an opportunity to compete at a very high level in the CFL and to, make a lot of great money for him and his family. I'm sure he'll make, millions of dollars between now and the end of his career. It's just sort of, where's it going to be and how's it going to happen?
Thank you. And Lapo, like you, Lapo was on here earlier saying that don't expect any decision anytime soon because we're all sitting there hitting refresh. Don't. Yeah. It'll be a while. The next one, Trey Ford. Trey Ford. What was your take on how that game ended last night in Edmonton? Do we have John? Oh, there he is.
I just got to pause there. You want to say that question again? Go ahead.
What was your take? What was your take on the way that game ended last night? A mirage, garbage time, or legit play? And should he start this week for the Elk?
I mean, probably a combination of the two. I thought that he had some elite plays there. Thought he had an opportunity to, do what he does, and that's, extend plays and find an opportunity to find an open receiver downfield and throw that 50-50 ball. Very similar to Cody Fajardo, where he can roll out of the pocket, find a guy downfield, and just throw it up there for him. So I think Trey Ford was really dynamic, had an opportunity for the Elks there to put some points up. And I don't know why they wouldn't go to him next game. I don't think this McLeod-Bethel Thompson thing has worked out. He hasn't won any football games. He's been complaining in the media, not really what a leader does for a football team. I don't know what that locker room's like. I don't imagine it's great when they're 0-7. And, there's been lots of change there from Chris Jones to guys moving into different spots from leadership standpoints. I think the Elks could look to find some continuity and find a player that they think they could play with long term. I don't think that answer is, in their locker room there with the current quarterbacks that they have. Maybe it's Trey Ford. Maybe they're going to find out. But if they have an opportunity to find out what they have and go to next season, that'd be great. I mean, realistically, this last offseason, if they use the $500,000 that they gave to, their other quarterbacks, if they use that instead of McLeod Bethel Thompson getting that money, if they allocated that to D-line, linebackers, move that around, I'd imagine they'd have a better roster because they have an opportunity, not unlike NFL teams when they have a young quarterback. He's not making a ton of money for Trey Ford, so if they can allocate resources to other areas, maybe that makes them a more complete and better football team. And as we've seen, Chris Jones maybe mismanaged that situation, and now he's paying for it. So, he's going to have to find another job somewhere in the CFL or maybe another football league here in the future.
To the mighty Horsemen, who weren't that mighty in Ottawa on Friday night, 33-6, they got pummeled. I'm saying, will the real Calgary Stampeders please stand up? What's the take in Cowtown?
It's been a tale of two teams. They played really well at home, and on the road they seem to struggle a little bit. They especially struggled against Ottawa. I don't think that was a great game. Every pro team in football is going to have usually one game a year that's a bad game like that. I mean, they were playing on a short week, a little bit of travel, so if there was a game that I thought that might happen, that might be the one. But, they had an opportunity there, especially in the other road games, to win, whether it was at Winnipeg, whether it was, against some other teams here during the season. They had opportunities to win and get in there, and it'll be interesting to see where they finish. I would imagine right now, you look at the West, I'd imagine the third place team is going to be, a 500 club. So if the Stampeders currently 3-4 can get to the end of the season, get to 9 wins, I don't know if the Elks or if the Blue Bombers will get there. So, I mean, there's seemingly a pretty easy path to get to the playoffs, but seeing how bad Calgary's been on the road to start the season, I'm sure they would prefer to play at home at least once. So we'll have to see what happens between now and the end of the year, but tale of the deal, I think it kind of goes as Jake Mara goes. We saw him play a really great game 2 weeks ago, and we saw maybe his worst game of the season this last week. So he's got to get more consistent. I think that's the biggest change we're going to see is, can he find his consistency? And if he doesn't, they'll struggle. And if he does, I think they have an opportunity to be a great football team.
Let me ask you this, John. You've been around a while. Not saying you're old, but you've been around. Do the coaches right now do they want to play 10 out of 10 now or build to the end to be 10 out of 10? Because Ryan Thelwell's an example of a great Calgary football guy. It's like, Rod, Stamps don't get it together in the summer. They just turn it on at the end. I'm like, well, it doesn't sound like a great recipe, but they seem to do it every year. So how concerned do you think the Stamps are, Dickie, where they are versus what they've been able to pull it together at the end? They always do.
Yeah, I don't think he's concerned at all right now. I think he's a coach that's been around. I think that they have a little bit of talent there in the room that's been around a while too. I mean, I know it's a younger team, but they have some guys that have been around, and they have a lot of continuity in their coaching staff that's won a lot of football games. And they know that if they can get to the playoffs, maybe they finish the season winning 4 out of 6 or 5 out of 6. That's a great opportunity for them. But so CFL, we've seen a lot of 8, 9, 10-win teams come into the playoffs hot and finish with a Grey Cup championship. And, I mean, everybody in Calgary knows we saw, the last decade or so, a lot of Stampeders teams that went into the playoffs winning 14, 15 games and didn't finish with a Grey Cup. So, I mean, I think we're all kind of learning as Stampeders fans that these 12, 13-win seasons maybe aren't the norm, as much as we've been used to them over the last, 15 seasons. And, this is a team that's going to have to fight to find some more wins and, finish football games. Because on the road, they seemingly, I know the last game was tough, but the other games were all kind of within a touchdown or so. And, they've been able to finish those games at home. And, well, which team is it that's going to be able to do that in the future? We'll have to find out.
John, you always bring it. I appreciate the analysis. Enjoy the football. Keep it up on social media because I like your takes, and hope to see you before the summer's out.
All right, for sure. Sounds great. Thank you.
Calgary football analyst John Bender. We'll get to your comments when we come back and a sports update. It's been a fun hour one here on Game Plus TV, Key Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Professional basketball is back in Saskatchewan. The Saskatchewan Rattlers are heating up. Catch them live at SaskTel Center in Saskatoon from May through August. The team is packed with high-caliber talent from the NBA, NCAA, and professional leagues around the world, with a head coach straight from the LA Clippers. Secure your seats now on Ticketmaster, starting at just $20. See you in the Snake Pit.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with The Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Yes, give us a follow on Twitter at Rod Pedersen Show, on Instagram at The Rod Pedersen Show. Always a lot of fun going on there. And Facebook, of course, keep the discussion going around the clock at The Rod Pedersen Show. See how that works? Some comments here before I get to a sports update from Kevin the Medium. Good morning, RP peeps. I rarely get to tune in live lately. Hope all is well. Rod, as usual, you look amazing. Aren't you full of compliments, Kevin? As Damon Allen said, but I told him the same thing. Well, I sleep a lot. Taylor in Calgary writes in, he says, as a diehard Stamps fan, it's frustrating to see this team for the last 2 years take a step forward, then go 2 steps backward. It's getting old. John in Kansas City says, good morning. Did I miss something? I don't know. Hit rewind. I know you're making it funny, but I don't have time to educate you. Ken F. writes in, interesting. He says, at one point, Nathan Rourke was critical of how the CFL was handling Chad Kelly. Someone looking to come back here would have kept quiet. How about that, Clark?
How about that?
Not saying he's wrong. I'm just passing it along. Sports update on this Monday. Tua Tagovailoa no longer has to worry about his future with the Miami Dolphins. Tagovailoa signed a 4-year extension Sunday with the Dolphins that'll pay him an average of $53.1 million per year starting next season. He spoke Sunday about his responsibility that comes with being the Dolphins' highest paid player. Tua said, quote, heavy is the crown. Meanwhile, Placeline, Oxnard, California. Dallas Cowboys defensive end Sam Williams suffered torn ligaments in his left knee while taking part in special teams drills and will need season-ending surgery. Williams got hurt during a blocking drill with the Cowboys, not yet in pads in Oxnard. Great. Our season's starting out just great. Hey, defeat boring Sundays. Every Sunday, kids can get out of the house and score a movie ticket and snack pack for one great low price. Every movie, every Sunday. Landmark Cinema's Kids Day turned the average Sunday into a movie-filled fun day. Check your favorite Landmark Cinemas for showtimes. Some terms and conditions apply. Children must be 13 and under and show valid ID. And valid for new movie releases only. Let me ask you this. What ID would you have? A library card? Just saying. My parents would not have trusted me with a passport. What do you have for ID as a kid? I can't remember. Dan from Winnipeg writes in and says, the refs are bad this year in the CFL. What do you think, Rod? I think, Dan, we hear it every year in every league, and I don't want to talk about it. Monty in Saskatoon writes in and says, good morning, Rod and Moose. Where's Moose? Moose ain't here. Moose ain't here. Moose ain't here. He's on vacation. Jeff the Stamps fan says, yes, Bo is playing great. I sure hope you love the CFL talk as much as I do. I really love it. I love watching the games, and I love talking about it. Tell your friends that we talk about it a lot here because we're moving into NFL and NHL. That will be heavy this fall, unless you give me a reason otherwise. Ryan in upstate New York says Trey Ford was moving the ball. It's too bad the Elkimos waited until they were well behind to put him in the game. Well, you know what? Kevin Karius is going to be with us next hour from Sports 1440 Edmonton. I want to get his take. He's been in that town since I think he said 99. I just cannot even imagine. Fans aside, look, you'll get up and go to your jobs. You'll go home to your families. You'll get over it. Working for that team, I think about the broadcasters, Morley and Dave Campbell. Oh, my God. 2-28, their last 30 home games. Oh, my God. Feel sorry for those guys. But you got to do it. Hour 2 coming up right after this.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
And we were on the road with the Rough Riders. Joe Womack was our strength coach, and he was rooming with Ron Este. I'm coming down the elevator with Joe Womack, and he is so mad. And I'm like, what's wrong, Joe? And he goes, you wouldn't believe what Este did. He's in his underwear, and he emptied the minibar. Smarties and the Kit Kats, thinking it's free, thinking it was a gift basket. And Joe looks at me, it ain't fun.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes. Happy Monday, everybody. I hope you're coming into the week just feeling ship-shape and ready to have a great one, because I know I am. Why wouldn't you be happy when you're live on Game Plus television? We got CEBL basketball tonight on Game Plus. On the radio down there in Atlanta, WQEE, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify. We are the variety show. Kind of like the Gong Show back in the day, but nobody gets gonged here. That's the ironic thing, largely. But we just, more than anything, want to have fun. Carry over from hour one, then I'll re-up the quick six show topics we've been talking about today for the latecomers. And Kevin Karius from Sports 1440 Edmonton in the next segment. He's my oldest friend in the business. And we're friends, but my best friend in the business is Perry Nias. I asked who's taking first team reps with the Minnesota Vikings, because there's just so much going on, particularly with the Olympics going on. I'm not sitting watching NFL Network 24/7 like I used to. Not in a fantasy league. Play fantasy. I tried it. It's not for me. But I do have questions. Who's taking first team reps in Minnesota? Jeremy in Winnipeg is all over this stuff, and I appreciate it. He says, Sam Darnold's taking reps. They aren't rushing J.J. McCarthy, and why should they? Rebuilding Minnesota is why rush him to get crushed. May as well groom him. Reminds me of a Patrick Mahomes behind Alex Smith for a year. I love it. Good. But you just never know with some. Trevor Lawrence came in and was taking first-team reps right away in Jacksonville and started. It happened. If you don't have a veteran guy around, or at least one that you really want, or is the future. Although in the NFL now, I feel like the future is now. From our guy, Kevin Hughes, Kevin the Medium, he says, if Nathan Rourke comes back to the CFL, it'll be late September or next season. So let me just remind you of a few things, what we're talking about today. Just for fun, see if Jordan's paying attention. Can you hit the Quick Six show horn, please, Director Jordan? Please. Here's the Quick Six. Yeah, that's hot. See you, buddy. Have a good day. The New York Giants have released Canadian quarterback Nathan Rourke. Giants head coach Brian Daboll announced the move Sunday. New York claimed Rourke off waivers on May 7th, but he didn't see much action during the first week of the Giants training camp. He finished last season up with New England. We all know the story. By the way, that kid, so there's a hockey camp going on here every day. This kid he might be a distant relative of Billy Charlesbourg from the Charlestown Chiefs, who was ironically from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan.
Hot damn.
So he's a behemoth of a man. Yeah, probably the same age as all the other kids, but he's really big, and he's got the same hairdo as Billy Charlesbourg from the Charlestown Chiefs. So the hockey kids here always talk to me when they come in and then when they leave. So if you ever want to, and the baseball players too. Ain't it great? So the one thing we're talking about is Nathan Rourke. And yeah, now the NFL agent I talked to yesterday said that it would, with the waiver period was 24 hours after he got cut. And then Clark informing me that David Naylor of TSN has tweeted that it's 4 p.m. Eastern. All these guys that were released will clear waivers or whatever. At least in the case of Rourke, he'll be free as of 2 p.m. this afternoon. But to just throw a little water on this, just so you can live your lives. Paul LaPolice was on here an hour ago, and I tend to believe Lapo with what he said. Nathan Rourke's not going to be in a hurry to sign anywhere because he doesn't have to be. I don't feel like wanting to go back and rehash everything we talked about an hour ago, but as Kevin the Medium has says here, if Rourke comes back to the CFL, it'll be late September or next season. So it won't even be this season. I think a lot of the CFL hardcores know that, but for the casual fans, they should know this. Don't expect to be, he's going to sign in Edmonton and save their season or come to Sask and be the next one in Sask. It's not happening, if it happens at all. Thank you, Robert in Vegas. He says Krista Deguchi wins Canada's first gold medal in women's judo. See, that's the interesting thing right now. The fun thing is there's a lot of things going on. It's not frustrating at all. It can be a little confusing because you're watching the Olympics, you're watching NFL Network, you're reading the website, you see there's just a lot going on. So this is the hub for it all. At least that's what we try to be and profess to be. Now, the other thing from the CFL, Sunday night, week 8 closed. Bo Levi Mitchell threw for 316 yards and 5 touchdowns as the visiting Hamilton Tiger Cats blitzed the winless Edmonton Elks 44-28. But that wasn't the story. Hamilton's won 2 in a row. They're now 2-5. Edmonton's 0-7. But they slipped in their backup quarterback, Trey Ford, in the fourth quarter, and he only threw for 3 touchdowns and 121 yards. And that's what made the score respectable. And now everybody's going off the Trey Ford's the next one. So let me just spend a second on this. It's our poll question today. I'm grabbing my phone to check my Twitter. Will Trey Ford save the Edmonton Elks season? We've been kicking that around with our analysts today. Paul LaPolice from the CFL on TSN, longtime CFL coach, and then John Bender, who was an offensive lineman with the UNLV Wolfpack, University of Nevada Wolfpack, and the Stamp. Will he save the season? Where is it? 68% of you say no, he ain't. No. Kevin Karius is coming up next segment to debate this a little more. But I will say this. Let's just do a little wrap. Here's what happened in week 8. Hamilton beat Edmonton, as I said, 44-28. Saturday night, it goes to overtime at BMO Field, and the Winnipeg kicker misses his kick. Sergio Castillo, right? Or was it Mark Leggio? I get them mixed up. And I wondered if there was a microchip in the ball, because wasn't that the thing? That's why they were missing kicks, right?
Bingo!
So the Argos won it 16-14. Even an Argo fan wrote in here and said the Argos were lucky to win it. Hey, bub, just don't. Calgary Stampeders fell to 3-4 Friday night. They lost in Ottawa. They weren't even in the game, and that's what their coach said. They lost 33-6 to the Ottawa Red Blacks, who were off for their best start in franchise history. And, of course, we rehashed what happened on Thursday night. On Friday's show, Montreal Alouettes beating Sask 20-16. A star was born. Can you remember his name? The quarterback for Montreal that came off the bench and rallied the Alouettes to the win. Can you remember his name for 250? Davis Alexander, just so you know. So that all went down, and I was saying, well, clearly Chris Jones wasn't the problem in Edmonton. That's got all the feathers ruffled up there. It's funny because Paul LaPolice, he's doing what he wants to do. For now. He's doing the media thing on TSN. Whether he'll get back into coaching full-time, I don't know. But I said, Lapo, would you start Trey Ford if you were coaching Edmonton? He's like, well, not as easy as you think. I'm not in those meetings. No, I need an answer. If you're going to be in the media, you got to have the hot takes. Whether you like it or not, you do. Otherwise, you'll just fade away. Jim Barker has got that figured out. Jim Barker, he don't care. He also isn't interested in coaching again. Paul LaPolice is. So it's just sort of, I don't know if they... Yes or no? And with Chris, that's why I said, I don't really care what I say either. It's just fun. It got Jason Greger in a flap from Sports 1440 Edmonton. He said, how do you figure that? Team sucks. He built it. I get that. And remember that I'm a Jones guy. And what all the Jones guys are saying, because there's a big army of us, they fired him too soon. This is going to work against him. Jim Barker said the same thing, by the way. And he's not the problem. That's a talented team. Said, you should really go back and watch from an hour ago, where I said, McLeod Bethel-Thompson at the most important position, and they gave him the bag as much as they could. He's throwing it over guys' heads. He's throwing screen passes in the dirt. And he wants to bitch about the schedule. He hasn't been a good leader. Boris Beatty's missing kicks. He's kicking off out of bounds. Now, I get why Jones was fired, by the way. I understand that. That's where I push back on the Jones guys. I'm like, look at the record. He had to go. I understand that. But there's supposed to be a turnaround, and that hasn't happened. So what is the problem? Why hasn't there been a turnaround? That's all I'm saying. Nobody's got an answer for that. The games this week, by the way, and I love this. You say anything in the CFL, you get trounced. So I'm just used to that, too. Like, you say anything. Unless you're certain guys that can say whatever they want. I get trounced for whatever I say. I also don't care. So we've got this Thursday to Sunday schedule, and it's 11:11 Mountain, 1:11 Eastern right now. Thursday, it's BC at Winnipeg. Friday, it's Montreal at Hamilton. Saturday, it's Edmonton at Saskatchewan. And Sunday, it's Toronto at Calgary. And I would be stunned if Edmonton doesn't start Trey Ford on Saturday night when they play Sask. I'm pointing over here because the stadium's this way. But God knows. Who really knows? Let me just dip back in on other things we were talking about. Vanessa Gilles scored 12 minutes into stoppage time as the Canadian women's soccer team staged an epic 2-1 comeback victory over host France at the Paris Olympics on Sunday. It's funny because I'm seeing this outpouring of emotion from the fans and the media that are backing this team with a viewpoint that I hadn't stopped to think about. It's like, even though the coach has been sent to the penalty box for a year, Bev Priestman, for being discovered spying on the opposition's practices, that doesn't mean the players aren't worthy of our support or that they aren't going after to win this thing. So they're now 2-0 in preliminary games. They play Colombia on Wednesday. And if they win that, they advance to the next round. And I'm like, yeah, hey, why not? Hey, oh, Canada, go. I'm not going to watch it, but I'm following it. There's a really big difference there. And remember, late last week when this whole story broke, I said, Canadian Olympic Committee, Soccer Canada, they're going to have their own discipline for her. And I said, wait till FIFA gets involved. Ooh. And they docked the 6 points from the team, put them behind the 8 ball in this tournament, which really does suck for those players. There's no doubt. And I see that coach. She doesn't seem like a real nice person. She releases a statement about her 1-year suspension that she received from the Canadian Olympic Committee and Soccer Canada, right? It basically said she accepts the punishment. There's more to the story, but I'll be quiet for now. Just shut up. Just shut up and go away for a year, okay? You're not helping yourself. You're not coming off very well here. Take your punishment and zip it. Take your lumps. But we can still cheer for the team, the team, because the players didn't do anything. And I fully believe the players didn't know what her and her staff were pulling off. I really believe that. Do you? Can I put that to you? Do you believe the players didn't know that the coach and her staff were spying on the other team? Clark, do you believe the players had no knowledge of it? Because I believe they had no knowledge of it. He's the same. Yeah, but we're on the players' side. But tell us, do you believe that the players didn't know? Just let me know. 902-518-3033. Canada's daytime sports talk show here right now. And we welcome all our American friends peering in. A break from what you all talk about every day down there. Dalton Varsho homered in the first inning. Jose Barrios pitched 7 strong innings to snap a 3-start winless streak. And the Toronto Blue Jays beat the visiting Texas Rangers 7-3 on Sunday to complete a 3-game sweep of the defending World Series champions. Vladdy hit a solo home run, his 5th in 9 games since the All-Star break. Also, .5, American Lauren Coughlin won the CPKC Canadian Women's Open on Sunday in Calgary. She finished at 13 under 275, closing with a 1 under 71 for a 2-stroke victory over tour rookie Mao Sago of Japan. Brooke Henderson of Smith Falls, Ontario, finished in a 4-way tie for 8. Brooks got to go to the Olympics right away, right? It was, Darren's always been a golf guy, and his better half works for Golf Canada, so we're even more following the golf situation. And Brooke, I haven't seen coverage of it, but I'm sure she's off to the Olympics. There's just a whole lot going on. I didn't realize that table tennis had even started. And that's the sport I probably enjoy watching the most at the Olympics in the summer. Every 4 years is table tennis. Not sure how we're doing there. You got the Blue Jays doing their thing. I'm broadcasting baseball as it is. So got one eye on that. NFL's in training camp. CFL's entering week 9. Just a whole lot going on. And I should mention this, and we'll break and bring in Kevin Karius. There are 2 Canadian Elite Basketball League games tonight, one of which is on this channel. Brampton at Ottawa Blackjacks tonight here on Game Plus. And the Winnipeg Sea Bears are at Edmonton at the Expo Center up there. So just saying, Monday night basketball action. If you're in the area, you might want to check it out. Tickets starting as low as $20. We'll be right back here on the Game Plus TV network, Key Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
3033. 902 518 3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902 518 3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The 80s Club, live in Moose Jaw. Honeymoon Suite, along with a flock of seagulls. Men without hats. And spoons. All together for one night at Moose Jaw Event Center, Saturday, November 16th. Tickets on sale now at sastix.ca or the Moose Jaw Event Center box office.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Back at it. Hey, CFL fans, join us for the second annual Labor Day Golf Classic at Aspen Links in Regina, hosted by the Rod Pedersen Show. It's your chance to golf with your choice of Rough Riders and Blue Bombers alumni. DM us for details. And let's please bring in Kevin Karius from Sports 1440 Edmonton. And while we have Dickie here, Jim Young's watching. Dick, Dirty 30, he's watching in Armstrong, BC. He says, my first year with the Vikings, I was on the practice squad to the last 2 games of the year. And the next year, I made the team. That year, I got a permanent shoulder separation. I was traded to the Lions for Joe Cap. And the first CFL NFL trade. It would be great to see Nathan Rourke return to Canada.
How about that?
Before we get to the Trey Ford thing, what do you think? What do you think Nathan Rourke will do or should do? How do you see this plays out, Kevin?
I hope he comes back to the CFL. I think he just wants to play. No, I mean, he's bounced around here from roster to roster. Hasn't got much of a shot, really, when you think about it. But I don't think he's in that mindset that he wants to just keep bouncing around and going from team to team and not playing. He's obviously a great young quarterback still, but got to play. So hopefully he arrives back to the CFL and maybe he makes his way to Edmonton. Who knows?
Who should the Edmonton Elks start at quarterback in Sask on Saturday night?
Trey Ford, 100%. I would be stunned and shocked if McLeod, Bethel, Thompson gets the start. This team is in such disarray, Normie. I've never seen anything like this. The team isn't drawing flies. Another, 8,000-9,000 there again for last night's game. The only positive part of the whole evening was to see Trey Ford come in and mop it up in garbage time. And, I mean, at that point, the Tiger Cats just wanted to get to the bus, get to the airport, and get the heck out of town. So, yeah, he added some excitement. But I would have to say he has to be the guy that starts Saturday in Saskatchewan.
You know, it's interesting. Believe it or not, I follow a lot of what you say. And you talked about the baseball team outdrawing the football team. And I saw a photo from yesterday. Is that what's the name of that team? Because you got two teams.
It's the Edmonton River
teams, right? Okay. Did we lose them? Or is it me?
Like this is the West Coast League.
We had lost.
So you have the Western Major, Moose Jaw, and I mean, Melville had a team, and I mean, they've got teams in Okotoks, and the Dogs are probably the most successful franchise in that league. This is maybe one little step higher, and they are, I'm going to throw this one at you, Normie. So as you know, Eddie Steele is my co-host on Sports 1440. Last week I said to Eddie, I can't believe that I'm saying this, Eddie, but the Edmonton Elks are no longer the number 2 team in town. And I wasn't sure what response I was going to get from Eddie. And Eddie said, I think they're the number 4 team in town, behind the Edmonton Stingers too. So the Riverhawks are at number 2. Obviously the Oilers are at number 1. The Riverhawks number 2, the Edmonton Stingers are number 3. They play their final game tonight. It's at the Expo Center. They call it the Flair Airlines hangar. The Hive, that's sold out. So I was shocked when Eddie said he thought that the Elks were number 4 in town. Never, ever thought I would say that.
Yeah. See you, boys. Thanks. Well, it's the Moose Jaw Millers. They train here every morning, by the way, Dick, just so you know. So, yeah, I don't have to use the facilities. They are. It's too busy for me to use.
Oh, boy.
But that's what I heard is that the CFL is feeling, they're threatened a little bit by these other summer leagues. They never really had to deal with that before. And as far as the attendance is one thing. Eddie thinks all the Elks have to do is win, and the fans will come back. You know that market better than me, is he right?
Partially. I think there's been so much damage done from the board of directors, from past presidents, chairs on the board. So we're talking at about a 4 or 5 year, and add the COVID year in there. So since 2019, there has been so much damage done to this franchise. It's almost irreparable. The new owner hopefully will be able to change the perspective, the outlook. I'm told that the new owner will have to be prepared to lose between $4 and $5 million per season if and when it gets turned around. 4 to 5 million.
At least. Well, here's the thing, Dick. You said you've been in Edmonton, well, for sure since at least 99, because I remember that was my first year with the Riders coming up, and I was with you in 99. When did you first get to Edmonton?
98. I got here in 98. I came from Calgary, so I was working at CTV Calgary in 97. So I worked there for a year and then came here in 1998.
Okay, well, the reason I say that is my first year with the Riders, we were 3-15, last place, empty stadium, horrible, pavement for turf, a quarterback that we didn't know if he was going to show up for games, Reggie Slack. That looks like a dream compared to what you guys got. In Edmonton, I can't imagine a team being worse off than they are right now. And with that owner, any chance they'd back out?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if he backs out, I don't know what position they're in. I mean, there were a couple of other groups that were, kicking some tires here, and I discussed that with some members of that one of the groups, and I basically told them, I said, are you prepared to lose? Because there was more than just one guy, right? There was a conglomerate. I said, are you prepared to lose hundreds of thousands of dollars of your own money to get this thing turned around? And he was like, I guess I am, because I wouldn't have looked into it. But the owner that's going to be coming forward here has very deep pockets, and he's going to need them, because this is not a quick fix here. This is, you can look at everything moving forward. They got to pay Chris Jones still, again, another year. The head coach, who's it going to be next year? They had Jason Shivers, who he was the associate coach under Chris Jones. He doesn't get the head coaching job. It didn't make sense. So they have so many things to do here. It is not it's not a 1 or 2 year fix here. It is, and I mean, off the field it's way worse than on the field. That's how bad it is here.
I know. Hey, but I know all those guys very well. They're great coaches. I see talent on the field. I don't know what the hell's going. I don't know. I'm just glad that I don't have to broadcast it or try and find a path out. Listen, before
Yeah, like Eddie comes on today, and he comes into the studio, and we both look at each other and we go, we don't even know what to say anymore. That's how bad it is.
Imagine being Morley and Dave, those poor suckers. Hey, before we switch to the Oilers, I saw that they named a golf course after you, or a lake. Were they referring to Crooked Lake named after you, or what was the story?
No, Norby, no. There's a little lake at just a pond over at the Ranch Golf and Country Club, and I've played with Murray McCourt and the boys for 20 years here, and I've been known to put a few balls into the 18th hole lake, so they named it Lake Karius, which was named after me because when I golfed with Mike Riley and Matt Nichols and Murray in a tournament about 5-6 years ago, that's what the guy that was doing the MC, he said, and here's Kevin Karius, and he didn't know how to pronounce my last name. So
that's good. Kevin Karius.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought, I'm like, he's from Crooked Lake. They might have named might have named that after him, Crooked Lake. Okay, so how are you on the Stan Bowman thing? Just fishing for opinions? I mean, he's there as the GM. I can't believe the backlash.
I was blown away. In the 10, 11 months, I guess we're almost 11 months into doing Sports 1440 on the morning show. I've never seen anything like it as far as our text line. We were getting probably 10 to 12 texts per minute, and most of them would have been negative. There were probably, I would say, at least 9 out of 10 were negative. And to the point where people were saying, I'm not going to renew my season tickets. I'm not coming back. I'm not going to go to the games. One particular, I remember, one guy said, I go to 8 to 10 games per season. I'm not going to those anymore because of this hire. I think this is a fluid situation. Stan Bowman's really going to have to put the work in here. He has to really push forward and get involved in whatever advocacies are available to him. He's got to get on a board of SACE here or whatever it is to make it known that he is not just talking here. He's got to get out and get involved in the community, sexual abuse, victim abuse, anything like that, and he's got to keep taking it forward. And I think people will. I'm a believer of giving him a second chance, but he's got to earn it. He really needs to step forward here and do some good things for the community.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you saying that. Hockey aside, that aside, I think it's a good hockey move.
Yeah,
don't you?
Well, a lot of people. We're doing a deeper dive into all the trades he made and the signings. He signed, Caleb Jones to that long-term deal, basically, which was the catalyst for, it was Rowinski and Nurse and Jones. They signed all these big contracts because they had a good COVID season at that. So, I mean, he was given a lot of great players when he took over the GM job in Chicago. A lot of those players were in place, but he also did make some moves. So I think this is one of those instances where I want to see what happens for a little while here. Let's see what moves he makes, what contracts he signs. So I want to leave the door open a little bit before I pass judgment, really.
Yeah. No, I know. Well, I think, number one, I think Jeff Jackson handled himself unbelievably well at that news conference. And Stan did pretty well, too. But, I mean, I'm an advocate for second chances, Dick. As you know, I screwed up pretty much everything I've ever touched. We got to have a chance to redeem ourselves. And I thought the bringing in the Sheldon Kennedy thing was a really nice touch. And I also know a lot of guys that played on the Blackhawks in that decade. They tell me there's way more to the story than's been reported. And I don't want to get into that, but you don't want to get on the wrong side of a movement or cancel culture either, right? So there's just a lot of this that we don't really know. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think that this hiring happens without Sheldon Kennedy. without Sheldon Kennedy coming on board and being in Stan's corner, and to the same extent because both Stan and Jeff Jackson talked to Kyle Beach as well. And Kyle Beach he's in support of this as well. So without that, there's no way this happens.
Oilers going to be better or worse this year, do you think?
Well, better. They have to be better. I mean, they have more depth now than they've ever had since, I've been covering this team, and you can go back even to the 80s. They haven't had this kind of depth where, like if you look at it, a player like Dylan Holloway, who's still carving his way and finding his way to be a regular, NHL contributor. He was on the second line in the Stanley Cup playoffs in the final. He's on the second line now. He's been pushed down to where he's slotted in at 3 or 4, wherever it is, but he still has the ability to press a guy like Jeff Skinner or whoever it might be on line number 3. So he's got that ability, and he's good enough to do it. So that's how deep they are. Obviously the defense, they could probably use one more defenseman, I think, moving down the road, depending on what happens as far as the contract situations go. But they have a goaltender that went all the way to the Stanley Cup final, Game 7. So, and Cal Pickard's a really good backup. So this team is going to be better than it was last year.
As Kevin Gallant would say, Dylan Holloway's father, Bruce, former Pat, Bruce Holloway. Got to get that in there, Dick.
And Melville Millionaire. And Melville Millionaire. Bruce played in Melville too, Normie.
How about that?
Serious?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Sure he did.
It's got Billings, Regina, Brandon, Kamloops Jr. Yeah. We got to get that. We got to petition Hockey DB and get it put in there.
Well, that's the thing. Hockey DB's hit and miss sometimes with a lot of its years and how people input their information. So I think if you go to Elite Prospects on that site, it'll tell you that he played in Melville in 78 or 79, I believe, somewhere in there.
Well, they got this guy, Kevin Karius, played in Melville, 64 games in 86, 87, 37 points, 203 penalty minutes?
How about that?
What the hell were you doing?
I'll tell you what was happening. I played defense that year, Norm, for the most part. And so out of those 200 penalty minutes, that would be 50 minors for guys skating past me and me slashing or tripping them. Right. And then the other 100 minutes would be telling the referee to go, himself on the way to the penalty box for 10-minute misconducts probably. Just kidding.
Back when they used to put 10s in the penalty, I'm glad they took 10s out. Because that's a joke. It doesn't count.
No, I don't think that was. I don't think that was the 10 minutes on there. No, that's.
And a year at SAFE as well, but we won't get into that. Fair winds, my friend. Have a great day. Thanks for the time.
Thanks, Normie. Appreciate it, buddy. Have a good one, big guy.
Yeah, Kevin Karius from Sports 1440 Edmonton. Back with a sports update and viewer takeover the rest of the way. We are live here on Game Plus Television, Key Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Sounds like he knows what he's doing a little bit. As long as you're entertained. Aren't you entertained?
Hi, my name is Logan Stagel.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it certainly is. I got a very tantalizing and up-to-the-minute sports update coming up. But just checking in on the viewer comments here. I appreciate Jim Young, number 30. BC Lions, great writing in earlier. I did not know. I guess we got to do our own history. And I appreciate you, Jim, for saying this, because nobody else is going to recognize it or remember it. Jim saying he was traded to the BC Lions from the Minnesota Vikings for quarterback Joe Kapp in the very first ever CFL NFL trade. Wow. If he says it, I believe it. He also says it would be great to see Nathan Rourke return. It would be great to see Nathan Rourke return to Canada. We've had some really good memes and quotes come out of today's show, like John Bender saying in hour one, I don't think he's going to get another shot regarding Nathan Rourke. Well, if it's done, it's done. Then he's taken a really good swing at an NFL career and could come back to the CFL wherever he wants and make a lot of money here. Like literally Darian Durant, very close friend of mine, made millions in the CFL. If that's the one position you can do it, it's at the quarterback position in the CFL. It's not bad for Nathan to come back to the CFL, have a great career, get to play, be a hero. Bob's your uncle. Just don't expect it soon. A decision soon. 2 p.m. Mountain this afternoon, he'll clear waivers, and then we wait. But it was Paul LaPolice that said, in hour one of this show, don't expect a decision anytime soon. If he's smart, he'll wait for an opportunity for injury. Kirk in Toronto says, I met TSN's Dave Naylor at the Argos game in the south end zone on Saturday night. Took time to talk to us fans. Great guy. Nails is a tremendous guy, and he wouldn't come on this program if he wasn't. You got a photo, Kirk? I normally tell our viewers, don't send photos unless I ask. Don't send links, because that is a pain. Did you get a photo of yourself with nails? I'd like to see it. Now to that up-to-the-minute sports update I told you about. Miriam Bedian had a game-high 13 points, and France trounced Canada 75-54 to open its women's basketball tournament at the Paris Olympics today. Shea Colley of Brampton, Ontario, led the fifth-ranked Canadians with 11 points and 6 assists as they struggled with shooting and turnovers. Meanwhile, Novak Djokovic dominated rival Rafael Nadal at the start and then held off a comeback attempt to win 6-1, 6-4 at the Paris Olympics in the second round. Today's match was the 60th and likely last head-to-head matchup between the two tennis greats. You tell me what other show on the air live today in Canada is giving you these results. Nobody. That's the quick answer. That's why we're number one. Meanwhile, American gymnastics star Simone Biles will have to navigate the rest of the Olympics with a left calf injury. Biles tweaked the injury during qualifying, but finished the meet with the top all-around score. Now, how about this? We can shake our heads, which is probably the best thing to do, and just keep scrolling. But I saw a story this morning on Yahoo, which is where I get my email. So I got to go into Yahoo to click on the mailbox. So I see these headlines, and it says Simone Biles' boyfriend, or is it husband? Either way, he's the safety for the Bears. All her fans are jumping on his back because he said somewhere in an interview that he didn't know who she was when they met. What the hell's wrong with you? Why should he know? Just because you're her fan doesn't mean every 8 billion people in the world are. What the hell's wrong with you? He's sitting there trying to tell a nice story of how they met, and her fans go ape because he didn't know who she was. You really got to check yourself sometimes, folks. So maybe just shake your head and keep scrolling. Rod, I mean, here's a good story. 2 Sundays ago, I'm sitting at Strasbourg Sask on the patio, the front porch of the Hubick house. And both Tori Gurley and his beautiful wife, Kim, are sitting there, and her dad, Garnet, who's an auctioneer from Strasbourg. He's as ag as they come. And I said, how did you two meet? She didn't know who he was. Oh, you didn't know that he was an NFL receiver with the Packers and the Browns? What's wrong with you? Anyways, Kim didn't know. They met at Super Bowl in New York, the one that the Seahawks won. Tori's letting her know his interest. How about that? I could just see how it all played out. Sort of air their dirty laundry on the show here, but it's a nice story. She goes, put your number in my phone. Maybe I'll call you. I like that story. Doesn't surprise me either. They didn't know who each other were. The curses. From the Canadian Elite Basketball League, the Ottawa Blackjacks will be looking to build positive momentum towards the playoffs as they host the Brampton Honey Badgers in their regular season finale tonight. The game will be televised on Game Plus, this channel, in Canada, and NLSE in the USA. Meanwhile, the Edmonton Stingers welcome the Winnipeg Sea Bears to Edmonton Expo Center tonight for a third and final regular season matchup. There may not be playoff implications entering the contest with both teams locked into the 2 and 4 seeds in the Western Conference, but the outcome could be telling depending on how things shake out. Now, we have all those viewers in Edmonton, as I said, and for Kevin Karius and Eddie Steele to say the Elks, formerly the Eskimos, aren't even the number 2 team anymore in that town, I can't even imagine. Sheer and utter mismanagement. And I put a lot of it at the feet of the former president, Chris Presson, the American who had come from the Arizona Rattlers in the Indoor League, the Arena League. He screwed everything up, changed the name, fired Dwayne Mandrusiak after 49 years. Some of this can lay at the feet of the general manager, Brock Sunderland. Whoever the hell the guy was, Len Rhodes before that, the former president, who, he fired Ed Hervey, right? How'd that work out? Oh, my God, they made bad decisions. Stop making bad decisions, guys. And I feel terrible for him. By the way, the sports update's brought to you by Landmark Cinemas. Seniors Day is Monday at Landmark Cinemas. Get more of the movies you love every Monday for less. Seniors enjoy 20% off the posted seniors admission price, and to sweeten the deal, receive 20% off their concession purchase too. So make Mondays your movie day, because a great deal never gets old. Check your favorite Landmark Cinemas for showtimes and pricing. And if I may, go check out Twisters and tell me what you think. If you didn't see the 1996 blockbuster Twister, you'd probably really like this one. I feel that it fails in comparison to the 96 version. This ain't a sequel, not a remake, not really sure what you'd call it, but it's the same idea. It's good. Not as good. But I'm the guy that says there'll never be a quarterback as good as Troy Aikman in Dallas, and maybe I've just set the standard too high. Overtime is next. We're live on Game Plus TV, Key Radio, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Live, and Spotify.
Wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Professional basketball is back in Saskatchewan. The Saskatchewan Rattlers are heating up. Catch them live at SaskTel Center in Saskatoon from May through August. The team is packed with high-caliber talent from the NBA, NCAA, and professional leagues around the world, with a head coach straight from the LA Clippers. Secure your seats now on Ticketmaster, starting at just $20. See you in the state.
The live sports experience is changing. Teams and facilities are under pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. IKS Live has the right team to deliver. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience, in the seats or streaming to you. IKS Live continues to bring you the best seat in the house.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Welcome back, everybody. I don't know what was wrong with me. I wasn't paying attention to the viewer comments till just now. Regarding the movie Twisters, John Ohm says, I wouldn't get your knickers in a twist over the movie Twisters. Allie in Texas says, and by the way, we're brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes. I'll tell you more about them in a second. Allie in Texas says, nobody beats the RP show. I agree. Brent in Wellington, Florida says, come on, Rod. You know Serena definitely knew who you were. LOL. That is true. That is true. And she stayed with me anyway. Ken F. says, in his day, I am certain Russ Jackson could have played and been successful in the NFL. Turned 88 yesterday. Greatest Canadian quarterback ever. Allie says, Twisters was really fun. Long legs, not so much. LOL. Brent in Wellington. Random thought, but wasn't the combine used in the original Twister bought by a salvage company north of Regina? I remember seeing a sign next to it. I don't know, guy. But I will tell you this, when I was driving from Regina to Moose Jaw on Saturday, I drove by this farm. I think I counted 7 combines lined up. Boom, 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 boom. I'm like, how many millions are sitting right there on that guy's yard? Hey, that is the cool thing about my life. Spending the summers is like a Twister, the movie Twisters. Hopefully minus the tornadoes. The landscape's all the same. And then in a little over a month, back to Florida, where it's like Bad Boys for 9 months. No complaints here, I'll tell you. To the Olympics, Randy from Winnipeg says, anyone hear about the male adult Dutch volleyball player convicted of child sex abuse of a 12-year-old allowed to be in the Olympics? Sick, if you ask me. I saw that he got booed at the start of the game. I don't get it either. I don't get it either. That's all I'll say. I don't get it either. We're brought to you by Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. Here in Overtime, I'll tell you again, I want to say youngsters, but it's not just youngsters. Now should be the time that you're working on your shooting in the summer. Okay? Check them out. Book your lane time. Look them up at 28th Street Northeast in Calgary or on their social media feeds, Overtime Hockey Lanes, or check out their website, overtimehl.ca. See what I've been talking about for about a year's time here on the RP show. We're so pleased and happy to work with them. Canada's a hockey country. Alberta's supposed to be a hockey province, so go prove it. I see these Sask hockey players working out here every day in the summer. You want to be beaten by them? Because you will be if you don't do something about it. The news update. The Paris Olympics opening ceremony saw a massive ratings jump in Canada compared to the numbers for Tokyo and Beijing. CBC says more than 13.3 million viewers watched at least part of Friday's ceremony on CBC, TSN, Sportsnet, and RDS, while an additional 1.9 million streamed it online. How about that?
How about that? Approved.
The 4 hour show, which, by the way, I don't know about you, I didn't have 4 hours to sit and watch that. The 4 hour show featured about 6,800 athletes traveling down the Seine River on dozens of boats in the pouring rain, with a grand finale that saw Celine Dion stage a career comeback with a spirited performance from the Eiffel Tower. But she also announced the Montreal Canadiens pick at the NHL Draft Round 1 Friday night in Vegas. Does that not count for anything? CBC's average viewership increased 33% compared to Tokyo 2020 and 36% over Beijing 2022. CBC says viewership reached its highest point at 2:01 p.m. Eastern when 1.6 million viewers tuned in to see Team Canada's introduction during the athletes' parade on the Seine. Listen, we got a few minutes here. Somebody tell me, when did the Last Supper travesty happen? Where they had drag queens emulating the Last Supper. I just can't believe how triggered people are about that. I mean, yes, I understand that you might be offended, but nothing offends me. So, nothing offends me. But obviously there was enough of a backlash that the host committee had to apologize on Sunday. I was shocked that they did, which, by the way, who really cares? If you know what they said, if you know anything about life, an apology is saying you're sorry, but making amends for it. Saying sorry, an apology is saying sorry for letting the air out of your tire. Sorry I did that. Making amends for it is putting air back in. What are you going to do about it? They're not going to do anything about it. Sorry you're upset. I don't really care. Allie says, if there is a Glenn Powell lookalike around, that would be even better. The star of Twisters, 35 years of age, from Austin, Texas. Yeah, I looked him up. Thank you, Wayne in BC, for the kind word. Tony from George Fox Country says, made it back for OT. Woohoo! Glad to have you, Tony. And I addressed your comment earlier about why do kids need to see the drag queens and the Last Supper thing. Hey, there's gay people in the world. Sorry to tell you. Breaking news. So, yeah. Safe travels if that's what you're doing. We've put a few things to bed with Nathan Rourke. He'll become a free agent at 2 p.m. Mountain. Paul LaPolice saying, don't expect an announcement anytime soon. He's probably going to sit and wait. Everybody thinks Trey Ford will start at quarterback for Edmonton Saturday, but their season can't be saved no matter who starts at quarterback. It's been fun. We'll do it all again tomorrow right here.
Who has more fun than us?